Hey, Coach, thanks for a couple minutes this morning.
Absolutely.
Cool. We will begin with Dina King. So go ahead, Dina.
Hey, Coach. Just wondering how the strength and conditioning coaches and staff work with the nutritionists in their off-season programs for the specific players.
Yeah, absolutely. The nutrition is a huge piece of what we do. That's a department that we work extremely close with. We have a plan for the guys as they come into the training. We got a plan for them as they exit the training, and from a supplement and trying to maximize every training session. And then sort of the bigger picture stuff, the meals are what we want to make sure is the biggest focus. But Kelsey's up there, and her or her staff is coaching guys as they go through the line. So that's their lifting, that's their practice. They're coaching guys through the line, making sure that each guy is getting a meal that's specific to them, that's going to help them achieve their goals. So that we educate them and we talk a lot about what those things should look like. But then also the biggest thing is as they go through the line, Kelsey's right there. We'll do a plate check where she coaches them through, and then they have to bring their plate to a table to make sure they're checked for attendance. And then at that point, again, another dietitian's checking their plate, making sure it's exactly what we want. And then Miss Kelsey does a lot as far as with what the guys can have on the weekends. She'll send them home with stuff that they can make so that we can have a little bit more control over the things that when they're away from us. But it's absolutely a huge piece of what we do.
Thank you.
Ross Martin, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a couple here. I don't see too many other questions, but first of all, Coach, I was wondering, last year you did not have any sort of spring strength conditioning, January, February strength conditioning program because of COVID. This season you had that full program throughout the off season, spring, and then into summer. What have you noticed the big difference in the players this August? Anything generally you've noticed that stood out, and then specifically things that you've noticed stand out from this group based on the difference between this season and last season?
Yeah. So last year we had January and February, and then they were out. And we just lost a big chunk of the total package that we have planned for the off season. So this year, we got to finish it. We lay a foundation in the winter, and then everything builds off of that. And, last year's summer was so unique. This year, we were able to actually put everything together and see that final product. I mean, for us, one of the biggest focuses was our O-line and our D-line, and just really pushing those guys to take that next step. And a lot of those guys have made huge steps. I can't wait to see Jordan Tucker play. He's one specifically who last year, if he had a full offseason, I think he would have been, next level. And this year with that, I think some of those guys who just didn't get to complete that piece of it, that really hurt him, and not hurt him, but I'm excited for what he's going to show you this year.
Great. Sorry, I put COVID there coming in January when it was March. It's my bad. And then you mentioned Jordan Tucker. Any other players in particular that have stood out off of this season? Maybe a freshman that stood out, and then another player or two that you've really seen improve, who's going to take the next step in terms of strength conditioning?
Yeah. Talking about some of the guys that came this summer, we've had those guys have been great for us. Just kind of watching them develop. We got a lot of guys with potential in that group. So Nesbitt, he's going to be a monster. It's just, we just need our time with him, but he's got a lot of potential. Dante Belfour is another one who's got that potential. He's got the frame. We just got to keep growing him. So those guys that we got this summer, I'm very excited about. Some of the guys that came in January from the freshman class, Power Eccles. I think people have been talking a lot about how he moves and how violent he is. He's someone that made great gains, put the weight on that he needed, kept developing his body. We're really excited about him. And then, for the upperclassmen, the Fox brothers those guys are weight room guys. They love tough days. They want those tough days, and have been really fun to watch and taken into some really good leadership positions. Eugene Asante is someone, he just has a purpose. He's inspired this year. Every time he's in there, you can tell that he's got a goal, and he's doing whatever he can to achieve that goal. He's been really exciting to watch. But we've got a lot of the guys have really stepped up.
Great, thanks.
Go ahead, Isaiah Lucas.
Hey, Coach, just wondering, how frequent do guys just come to you on their own and say, I want to improve on X, Y, Z, and ask for a plan to do so?
Yeah. we do open hours every weekend. We do open hours every Wednesday. So when we have an off day, we're typically giving them some open hours, and we'll have that be a mix of where we're giving them guidance, where we'll do a lot of mobility work, some more recovery based stuff. But guys that's a constant. Guys are always going and working on their craft. That's something that's been really cool to see, is just how much they love, to play. Josh Downs is a guy who never missed an open hour. If it was mobility, upper body strength, because those days we got to be smart with what we do, because we train so hard in our training sessions. Part of those days is we just want to be able to have a little bit of control to make sure that they're not running themselves into the ground. So we'll give them a lot of mobility work. We'll do some different packages with Coach Miles. We'll take them through. But Josh Downs is one of those guys who does not miss an opportunity to improve. And he's been, I think that's showing.
Vernon Marks.
Hey, Coach Hess, I'm just wondering, can you walk us through a little bit of what you did with Sam this offseason? And then also just how is the plan that you make for him and for quarterbacks in general a little bit different than what you would have to do for some of the other guys?
Yeah. So lower body days, we're straight up. They use a safety bar, just keeps their shoulder in a little bit of a more inward position, so they're not so externally rotated. But lower body day, they're straight up, and Sam attacks it. His strength levels are crazy. Me and another coach were last offseason getting a lift in, and Sam was in there doing a makeup lift because he had to travel the next day and he didn't want to miss a day. So we were working out with him, and as we kept following his sheet, we started sweating a little bit. Sam might be able to out squat us here. So he's very impressive, and he's very focused. On his upper body days, where we kind of do a lot of different things, I'm not over the top worried about his bench. We're going to do a lot of dumbbell bench with him, a lot of push-ups. But during that time when the guys are doing a little bit bigger chunk on the bench press, we're going to put him through a series of hip strengthening and rotational power. We use a huge focus on mobility. And then we're going to use, it's called the What's That strap. It's a lot of pitchers are utilizing it. And that's something that we use every day pre-practice, but also a lot within their training. And the goal there is that it just resists your rotation, so we can coordinate certain patterns, working on letting the hips win. And then we'll go into something explosive, and it might be with a med ball or something along those lines, or it might be working on capacity of rotational ability. But so we do a lot of, on that upper body day, a lot of specific stuff for Sam and the rest of the quarterbacks.
Gotcha. And if I can follow up really quickly, he has also mentioned too that since he arrived as a freshman, he's really improved his flexibility as well. What are some of the things that you do to enhance his flexibility, and why is that such a focus for him? Yeah,
it's a huge focus for all of our guys. We have a system that we utilize, FRC, functional range conditioning. Coach Miles takes the lead on that, but we're going to do a 15 to 20 minute warm up every day, where we're going to have stations focused on mobility, controlling that mobility. And then we're always going to do post work. So we're always going to leave time at the end of our training sessions to do another 10 minutes of a little bit longer holds, things that are going to try to open up those hips where we can just breathe and relax. And then, like I said, all those open hours. But for Sam, I think for him, he was just a little bit tighter through his hips, and that, he's explosive and he's twitchy, but trying to open up those hips and allow just a greater range of motion and control over that range of motion was a big focus for him. But that's all our guys. That's injury prevention. That's good movement. So we put a huge focus on that.
Back over to Ross.
I appreciate it. We've seen the videos of you, Coach Hess, mic'd up, kind of yelling, motivating players. It's definitely entertaining. I was wondering what you consider your role during practice and then during games and prepping for games that's outside of kind of your normal strength conditioning, focused on the player stuff, your role there.
Yeah. So pre-practice, we put a big focus on, we treat practice like game day, where we're over there foam rolling guys, stretching guys, doing everything we can to make sure that their body's prepared. And that's what's most important to me. We put a huge focus on running the best warm up we can possibly run. And then we'll do some special teams call outs. And then we're just trying to bring as much energy as we can. Trying to, be a spark that gets the guys going every morning, be consistent with that, and just try to bring as much energy as you can, try to make things as competitive as possible, and just remind the guys how important every training session is. Just try to bring as much energy as we can.
How do you maintain those energy levels? I think that's a special thing with strength conditioning coaches. You see the yelling and the energy early in the morning. What's your secret? What's the trick there?
Yeah, I mean, we're just passionate about it. Every morning I'm like, I'm going to tone it down a little bit. It was a little too much yesterday. I'm going to tone it down. And then we get out here and you just get so excited. The guys, they'll feed off of it, and you can see that, and that gets you fired up. And, it's just I want to do anything I can to help, you know, and I don't want to be a distraction, but I want to make sure that we don't waste a practice, that we're supporting them, continue to push them. You know, we'll try to remind them a lot of the things that the intensity that they brought in the off season, and make sure that they're trying to capitalize on every opportunity they have.
And then quickly, Tony Grimes put on a bunch of weight, I think over 25 pounds since he arrived last August. What have you seen about Tony Grimes' physical development in the strength and conditioning program?
It's consistency. It's not complicated, you know, but it's not easy. It's just being consistent. You know, every day he shows up, he's working as hard as he can. He's maximizing every single opportunity he has. You know, that's all we want from our guys. It's consistency. If you consistently show up and give great effort, you're going to be better, you know, and let your competition take that rep off or not bring that 100%. And that's how you separate, you know, because everyone's working hard, you know, but can you consistently bring it, you know, and work really hard every day?
All right, we'll close up here with one last question from Dina King.
Coach, heading into year 3, how much stronger has the football program gotten since you started day 1?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're pushing as hard as we can in the weight room, you know, from a number standpoint. Like, we're pushing those numbers and we're getting guys as strong as we can. And the big thing is we want to see wins. You know, that's what all of this is for. It's, you know, football is number one. You know, all the strength and conditioning, all the things that we do, it's all to get wins, because that's what we want to see, is those guys celebrating on the field, you know, going to the next level, going to the NFL, changing their lives. So all of this is geared towards that. So that's how you evaluate it. You know, we want to see wins. You know, we can get them as strong as we want, but if we don't win, you know, we're missing an element of our program, you know, from a total package, whether it's, you know, from the football side, strength conditioning side, mobility, conditioning. We want all of that to be put together, and that to all equal wins.
Great. Coach, thanks for a couple of minutes this morning. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.